Suddenly everyone's writing off George Russell. Everyone thinks that Lando Norris can't defend the title. They're questioning Oscar Piastri. They're questioning Ferrari.
My opinion, it's ridiculous.
There's more potential for improvement on the Red Bull Ford powertrain than there is on the Mercedes.
Do you leave and go to a worse team, but you might be the better driver in that team?
Number one there.
I've never seen it where the driver's been happier.
They had the wrong room. And the window smashed.
That's the one person whose room you do not want it to be.
No. And you haven't answered it, though. Do you want to go? Would you like to go back in? Otmar!
Come on, let's do it. Yeah.
I thought people in F1 were like kings of timekeeping.
He's coming.
Not Otmar. Had 45 on whatever he says. Is he wearing spandex?
Yeah, he is, yeah. He's looking, I like it. He's looking good.
Is he looking sexy?
Wearing his yoga
dress today.
This is building up to be a big moment.
He is best dressed. He's done a great job. He's looking very cool. Yeah.
Oh, what? What? Are you into the stylist or something?
Rebecca dressed you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She said, lose some weight. You got 2 chins on that show.
He hasn't eaten since.
You look great, though.
What do you mean? What did I look like last time? Thank you.
Equally great. Yeah, you look good.
Thank you.
This is nice. Nice new outfit. How are you?
Good. Is that one of your favorite liveries?
It is, actually. Do you like it?
Yeah.
What's the year?
Let's see. That is 96.
Oh, 2 years out. 94.
94.
And on the back, I was showing this to Rob. Look, it's got all of the races from that.
Oh, wow.
year. And it shows you how the calendar's changed.
Yeah.
It's mad, isn't it?
Look at that. 16 races or whatever.
Yeah, do you remember how good that was?
And most of them, I just
finished
counted.
by October.
Yeah, most
Had a
of
good
them were
Christmas.
in Europe.
Life good?
Yeah, all good, thanks.
I'm so sorry, guys, that your entire careers have been basically
Now listen,
dulled down into a set of dad jokes.
I've been reading the reviews, and they're predominantly good, which is rare for online stuff because everyone
Yeah.
likes to.
Are they?
Yeah. Not even
Online's
predominantly.
rare.
Have you seen any negative? I haven't seen anything negative.
I saw one that said, "I wish Otmar would let Rob finish his sentences."
Did it say that?
By Rob Smedley.
By Rob's mum.
So I'll take that as a criticism and constructive, and
Yeah.
I will let you finish your sentences.
Well, look, thanks for coming back for our 3rd episode. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
You good to go, guys? Oh, we've been going the whole time. Well, welcome. And welcome to episode 3 of High Performance Racing. Guys, thanks very much for coming back. Otmar, I do hope that people are watching, not just listening to this, because you look sharp, brother.
Well, thank you very much. Thank you.
Very sharp.
Very.
He's very Miami.
Is that what it is? You've brought back the Miami vibe.
Vibe, not vice.
No. Well, look, we've got a lot of stuff to talk through. We're going to be discussing something that the boss of the FIA said a couple of days ago, a secret plan that you might be hatching. We're going to talk about that. We're going to discuss Oscar Piastri. I think you'll both have strong opinions about that. And do you have dad jokes lined up for the end of today's episode?
I got one.
I've got one.
I've got 2.
You don't need to. 2 is greedy.
Okay.
2's going to turn the audience off.
All right. Well, I'll do 1.
Hopefully, this will be successful, and we'll have many of these. And you don't want to run out of dad jokes, so keep them in your pocket.
1 per show.
1 per show. Yeah.
I've got a really good one too for later on. That's a little bit long, so
That's fine. We've got time.
yeah,
How long?
not today. It's a good 2-3 minute joke instead of a.
Well, but you're saving it for another show.
I'll save it. Yeah.
Okay.
I told it at the Alpine Christmas party when my first Christmas party at Alpine, because it's a French-centric joke.
Ooh. And have you bought some memorabilia for the end of the show?
Yes.
Something from your history and life in F1?
Yes. You told me to bring something
Yes, I did.
that meant something. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, we should look at that at the end of the show. Look, I want to start with something that was said by Mohammed Ben Sulayem at the end of the Miami weekend. He said, and these are his words, V8 is coming. They can't tease it and not do it. So do you both hear those words and think that it's going to happen? Or not?
It's back on the agenda.
Is that all?
But that is, well, I mean, just getting back on the agenda is something, right? But that's big, right? Like V8s in Formula One. That's kind of going back to, I mean, look, like we're all like, I think if you asked any of us here, we would love to see V8s back. I would love to see V10s and V12s back. But that's a big change. A big change.
Look, I'm in favor of V8s. I grew up in Detroit, and everything was V8. And I liked the era when we were running the V8s. No turbocharger. Remember the noise we talked about before?
Yeah.
And when I heard Mohammed say that, my first thought was, again, if Formula One wants to not lead road car technology anymore because it's divergent, then why not V8s? It's all about the show. Bring the screaming V8 back, over 1,000 horsepower. And I thought to myself, good idea. Maybe a little electric motor on the front so you can electrify wash it, if that's a word. Green wash it.
Electrify wash it. I don't think that is a word.
No.
But I think
it's okay. We can make stuff up. You'd get points in Scrabble.
There you go.
So I thought, good idea for the fans.
Yeah.
And especially bring the noise back. And then on my way in today, I saw Toto Wolff's reaction, which was, look, I don't mind getting 800 horsepower out of an ICE and then adding another 400 from an electric motor. And then my thought was, well, that's not a bad idea either. You could bring back a V8, get 800 horsepower out of it, and then stick 400 of electric motor on. But the point is, everyone's looking at the future to do something different than what we have today.
Look, you're fresh back from Miami. I really want to talk about what the weekend was like from your perspective. What is it like being there when you're not a team principal? Do you kind of hate it in some ways?
Being in the F1 paddock, I had things to do. I had my talks with F1 experiences, and then also observing. And yeah, would I like to be, we talked about this before. For sure, it was a sprint weekend, so there was a lot going on. But it's great qualifying, and yeah, it's great trying to outdo other teams, whichever one you're with, on race day. And I enjoy that. But I can tell you more about what I learned and what I think. And about Miami was getting more and more popular.
Do you like
it? Race. I'll tell you what I like about it is you have no idea you're in a car park of a football stadium when you're there. You walk around and you think, oh, there's boats and there's a beach and there's themed hospitality units. And so they've done a great job with that.
It looks very cool on the TV. Can we talk about Kimi Antonelli? Because suddenly everyone thinks he's going to be the world champion. Suddenly everyone's writing off George Russell. Everyone thinks that Lando Norris can't defend the title. They're questioning Oscar Piastri. They're questioning Ferrari. We live in this world where opinions about Formula One don't feel like they used to. Like opinions, I think 15 years ago, were a bit softer. People would give stuff time. We don't live in that world anymore. I wonder what you all think of the kind of like this current conversation around Formula One, where you're just writing people off, or you think someone's going to be the world champion, someone's the best, someone's the worst. How does it sit with you guys?
My opinion, it's ridiculous. I mean, everything is so transient, right? Everything is based on, nothing's based on like well thought out and well considered, like critical thought.
Critical thinking.
Yeah.
Apart from this podcast.
Yeah. It's all just like what happened yesterday and how can I make the most noise about it? And that's what's great about our podcast, right? Because we've got experts on here who there is a lot of critical thinking. There is a lot of actually having been dragged through the ringer over a period of like 2 decades in Formula One and seeing how things can ebb and flow and seeing how things, like things change on a weekend by weekend basis. But world championships are won over 18, 20, 24 races, right? And careers are built over like 10, 15, 20 years of champions. So like this jumping to conclusions after like one race, with people that, you know, and I read like comments. I'm not going to tell you the website, but there's some hilarious comments on one particular I would say very serious website, right? And I read the comments on that afterwards, and the amount of vitriol, even between the commenters, right, the people who comment, is fantastic. And I'm like, you know, this sport is nothing without the fans. But these people are fans, and of course they're entitled to their opinion, but they're basing it, like, all of their opinions are like, this is like based on some like pedigree of fact and some real critical thinking. And it's like, man, that's just absolute fucking nonsense that you've just written there, right? And then it goes, and you'll see the same people who will make like have a polar opposite opinion, or will find some nuance to back their opinion up.
Did you not feel like that back in your day, though? Did you not see comments about Felipe, for example, and think, you don't know what you're talking about, and it made you angry then?
No, not really. I think it was, I mean, social media is significantly more prevalent than it was when Felipe was driving, right? But I just think that there's not enough critical thinking, and I think that it's what's clickbait? How do you generate clickbait, right? How do you get people like to listen to you? Like in my echo chamber, I'm in an echo chamber. I'm just going to shout louder than everybody else about something that happened 5 minutes ago. And by the way, in 2 weeks' time, I'll be shouting exactly the opposite. So I think you've just got to like kind of like take the results as they come, try to observe exactly what's going on, because the outcome of a Grand Prix, as we saw, I'm trying to think of a good example, but the outcome of a Grand Prix is never linear, right? The guy who should have won, like look at Max now, right? Max probably was in with a knocking bet of winning in Miami, right? Having been absolutely nowhere in the first two Grand Prix. Now, we sat here on this podcast and we all agreed that you should never write Max off. Now, there's now a big swing in opinion that Max now could be, you know, he's world champion elect. There's also a big swing in opinion that like, or there's also this opinion after Miami that, well, Max didn't do anything and the car's still shit and he's still shit and like all the rest of it. And it's just kind of like, let's just kind of work out what's really going on here, get under the surface, think about this like a little bit more deeply than like what's there at face value, and let's have an opinion on that.
Now I know why I always interrupt them. That was the longest answer.
That's the end of the episode. You've got that out of your system now, though. Rob's angry. What do you think?
I think he's right.
Yeah.
And I'll give you a couple examples. One I want to say from what I just heard here, everyone's entitled to their own opinions, but they're not entitled to their own facts.
Yep.
And some things are fact and some things are opinion. Last year, I thought after winter testing, I'm betting the house on Lando.
Did you really?
Yep. Mid-season, I had to tell the wife, we might be moving. Because Oscar's going to win this. Yeah. Do you remember?
Yeah.
Mid-season, yeah. I think the world thought Oscar's got him.
Well, do you remember those first 5 or 6 races? He was in the zone.
And by the end, Lando won it.
Yeah.
So your point is right. It's way too early to predict who's going to win it at the end. And for me, Kimi did a great job there, but for whatever reason, and I don't know the answer, Kimi goes well there. His first time there, he put it on sprint pole.
Yeah.
Last year.
Yeah.
So he goes well there. And in the sprint race, did George beat him?
No.
Yes, he did.
Oh, what, this sprint race?
This sprint
year?
race.
Yeah.
George beat him. Overtook him and beat him.
Yeah.
Then Kimi wins the main race and did a great job for sure. But because of that variability, I think you're right. You can't say Kimi Antonelli's going to win it, although I think he could be a generational talent in the future. If I had to bet the house again, because I did bet the house on Lando and won, so now we have 2,
Oh, you got 2 houses?
Yeah, because I
You
won.
should see his house as well. It's a big house.
Is it? I bet it is.
Yeah,
We should record
yeah.
an episode at your house.
Yeah, we should.
can.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can.
We can all go in different wings of the house.
Nice.
I would today, even though George Russell is 20 points behind Kimi, I'd still put my money on George.
I would do the same. Do you know why? Because I look at Australia and I think the reason why he didn't, sorry, who's ringing me? I don't know who that is. The reason why he struggled in Australia was he had the issue with the power unit. In Japan, he pitted 11 seconds before Behrman had that crash.
Mm-hmm.
At the restart, he had another issue with the car.
Yeah.
He could have 3 wins, George.
And Kimi Antonelli has gone quickly and for whatever reason in Miami.
Yeah, and George freely admitted that he didn't like it. I mean, last year sprint was same as this year, wasn't it? I think Kimi on pole, George 5th, same this year. Kimi on pole, George 5th on the grid.
Yeah.
So you do get circuits like that. You do get circuits that drivers, where you'll get a big disparity between the
Confusing
team.
that, for people like me that haven't been where you've been, and for people watching this, they were like, if you're a world-class driver, why do you struggle at a low-grip circuit? Like, I can't work it out in my head. I don't know whether from your years in the sport, or you've got memories of drivers who were like strong in one place and weak in another. It was mental, or
I do, and it's always you're not talking about like suddenly George has become, a second-rate driver. You're talking it's tiny nuances. When you look in the data, Kimi will get, and I haven't looked. We haven't been on the dark web of the data yet, but Kimi will just be better in 1 or 2 corners.
you do realise you're only on this podcast because of your access to the engineer's dark web.
I'll go and have a look after this, and I'll come back.
Good. So explain to me what is going on there. Why a driver would struggle in this way?
I mean, I've witnessed drivers that are just naturally up and down, and it doesn't correlate to circuit specific. I don't think that's the case here, but there are some drivers that are good at some places.
Yeah.
I mean, Monaco, for example. There are always some drivers that were good around Monaco.
DC was a Monaco specialist back in the day. Lewis, Monaco specialist.
Senna, everywhere specialist.
Senna everywhere specialist.
But especially Monaco.
Yeah. So there is. I mean, I'll give you a clear example. So, what year did we first go to Singapore? 2008.
Yes.
2008. So that was a close battle between the 2 Ferrari drivers and the 2 McLaren drivers. And it was neck and neck between the 2 Ferrari drivers up to that point. And Kimi Räikkönen, so original Kimi, who is no slouch, right? He's quite a good driver. I think we can all agree with that. He just couldn't get that turn 1, 2, 3 complex right. He couldn't get that right, and he couldn't get the bit, and it's changed now. But like as you go, you came before the bridge. There was so you did. I think it used to be turn 12, and then you did like the chicane before the bridge, and then you went over the bridge, and he couldn't get the entry. He couldn't get the middle of turn 2 right, which is kind of like a straight line between turn 1 and turn 3, and he couldn't get that bridge bit right. And it was probably in both of those corners like a tenth and a half, which is a lot in Formula 1 terms, but he just couldn't get it right. Felipe could get it right? He kind of found his own line through there. And in the end, the difference just ends up being like 3/10 or whatever. And then all of a sudden, in 2 corners. And then maybe Felipe like found a little bit more in other corners, but like tiny margins, which are in the noise that you would normally get. But because of that 3/10, suddenly the gap is big. And it will be something like that in Miami with Kimi and George. There'll just be certain corners or grip conditions that he just doesn't like and he just can't get on top. Well, it's not just him, it's his team as well. His engineers, they just can't get on top of. But all of a sudden the gap looks big. And then you go somewhere else and it's within the noise again between the 2 drivers.
I don't know, Rob, but it looked like to me in Miami, there are other gaps too that were bigger than usual. Oscar and Lando, as an example.
Low grip.
Yeah.
Right.
But you'd think there'd be a bit closer. And you reminded me of something that I was going to say. 2008, beginning of the year, everyone puts their money on Button to win the world championship. Again, bets their house because of the double diffuser.
Yep.
had there been one or two more races,
Yeah.
Red Bull would have won that.
2009.
Sorry, 2009.
Yeah.
But 2008 is what reminded me when you said that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. 2009. I'm sure I remember speaking to someone in that team who they were like the very first day at testing. They knew how amazing that car was.
Yeah.
And they couldn't believe it, could they? And literally turned it down quick, chilled the car out quick so that people didn't know the speed of the car.
No, I think none of us could believe it. So I remember they turned up like days late. I can't remember how many days late, but like they had no money, right? They were potless. And, you know, Ross had done this, it's just well documented, this amazing job of like resurrecting Honda or like management buyout, and they had no money and they were late with it and all the rest of it. Because of that, there was all that.
I can tell you how much money they had, Rob.
Go on.
I'll tell you after your story.
Oh,
I
go on
don't want to
then.
interrupt.
No, do interrupt. I prefer it when he interrupts, to be honest.
Yeah, I prefer it when you
It's
interrupt.
so much better.
So they were given money by Honda to continue the team, and they were given an equal amount of money that it would have required Honda to shut it down.
Right.
Which was
120 million. But they had to make that last. And you're absolutely right. So they redid contracts and rightfully so to survive.
Yeah.
And they won the world championship. The double diffuser was discovered, invented, created, whatever the right word is, by a Japanese engineer in Japan running the wind tunnel, because he had the regulations translated into Japanese. He didn't speak English, and he read them. And to him, he read the regulations for what they were, black and white. I was having lunch with Bernie during testing. And Bernie gets a phone call from Flavio, all pissed off that the Brawn is so quick. What do we do? What do we do, Bernie? And Bernie handed the phone to me. So I'm talking to Flavio and Christian Horner too. And Bernie said, boys, it's easy. First race, protest him. If you don't think that double diffuser is legal, protest.
Yeah.
He hung the phone up and he said, Otmar, Flavio loves Christian, and Christian loves Flavio. He said, do you know what happens when two people love each other? Or no? He said, somebody always gets fucked.
That sounds like a Bernie quote.
True story.
Really?
So when we
I
got,
shouldn't have to say true story. I will forever in this podcast not tell a story that isn't true. So
no,
I
of
don't
course
have to
not.
say
Let's not make shit up. We don't need to. I think.
No,
I think we've
there's
got
enough stories, which I love, without you making stuff.
So
anyway, they did protest and they lost, and then everyone were fast followers on the double diffuser.
Everyone was fucked.
Yeah,
So
except for Red Bull. Right. They were strong at the end, and two more races they would have won the championship.
So we got to winter testing that year, and we thought we had a reasonable car, and it wasn't that reasonable. But anyway, that's another story. And they turned up, days late, and then they put it on a track, and they were within runs somewhere near the top, because I don't even think they got out in the morning. It was just in the afternoon, and they were somewhere near the top of the timesheets. And we went, oh, well, that's ridiculous. They've kind of like, they've taken all the fuel out of it and put new tyres on. The first ever run of the car, you know, they're just amateurs. Knowing that my old boss, Ross, was there. And then within like the next morning, I think they did put new tyres on it. So they weren't running new tyres. And I think by the end of this first day, when we were all saying, oh, well, they're just running low fuel, you know, this is a team with no money and all the rest of it. And they were like somewhere near the top of the timesheets and matching us. Then the next day they put new tyres on and went a second quicker than everybody. And then by the afternoon, they'd taken all the fuel out of it. And they were like 2 seconds a lap faster than everybody. And that was probably when you sat with Bernie that afternoon.
Yeah, everyone probably panicked. So.
And the whole paddock went into panic. And I can remember then, so the whole thing was, from our point of view at Ferrari, was, well, we're going to protest them, right? That's it, right? We're going to protest them. This is illegal, blah, blah, blah. Turned out not to be illegal. By the time we get to Australia, which is, I think, so the Saturday night in Australia, by the time we get to Australia, it's clear this car is legal and this car's this is it, right? You've all now got to catch up. So the game then is, how fast can we redesign the whole back end of the car and get a double diffuser on it? So Nicholas Tombassis, who is our chief designer, he said, well, I'm going to wait until Parc Ferme, until like the Saturday night, and then I'll walk down there and I'll have a look at it and I'll get some, I'll get a good idea, and then we can be back in the office on Monday morning and drawing it. So he goes down there with his torch and he comes back. Now, don't forget, this is now Brawn Grand Prix, so Ross is in charge of it and he knows he's got like this diamond. So Nicholas walks back down to the garage and I said, how'd you get on there? And I said, what did you see? What does it look like? And he went, well, I didn't really get that close. And he said, I said, well, why not? What happened? He said, well, I bent down with the torch. He said, and just as I bent down to have a look at it and shone the torch up the back of the car, he said, Ross, and bear in mind, this is the politest, most enigmatic man in Formula One, Ross Brawn. He said, and used to be Nicholas's boss. He was so devastated. He came up behind me and he said, Nicholas, turn that torch off, or I'll shove it up your fucking arse and fuck off. And I was like, Ross said that? And he went, yes, Ross said that.
And did he turn the torch off?
He did turn the torch off and he did fuck off.
I think this upgrade game is interesting. Can I talk about Ferrari, the fact they brought 11 upgrades to Miami and didn't look any closer to the fastest car? I wonder how that feels in a team when that goes on.
I had a conversation with the chief engineer at Mercedes. This was on Friday, and I said, Andrew and I started the same day at British American Racing in 1998, in August of 98, so I know him well. We shared an office, actually. I said, I think you guys are going to win this championship, but McLaren are going to be your biggest challengers. And he said, I think you're wrong. He told me all the reasons. He said, I think it'll be Ferrari who will be our biggest challengers. Maybe that's because this was before we ran and he saw the 11 upgrades. But as it turned out, I think McLaren soon will leapfrog Ferrari in the championship. They're still behind, but they had a strong weekend, McLaren.
Yep. Strong car. Yeah, big upgrades. The other thing to note from an upgrade perspective is Mercedes didn't bring anything. They're bringing it to Canada. So let's see what happens after Canada.
Do you think they can take another big step forward?
I think they can.
Yeah. Would it not, though, be depressing for the Ferrari lot to have brought that amount of upgrades?
100% it is.
And be like, oh.
100% it is. 100%. It's slightly soul destroying. Because it starts from a technical point of view, it starts essentially like this negative loop that you've then got to, what did you bring? What's working? What's not working? If it's not correlating, as in like the wind tunnel or your simulation tools are not matching what's on track, you've then got to do this whole reverse engineering process where you go back to the tunnel. And that holds up all of the development in the tunnel that you should be doing, and it's just a
two things that happen. You have finite resources, and now you're putting those resources on correlation, not making the car go faster. And the reason you're doing that is because if you don't have good correlation, it's only luck that you make the car go faster, right? So you got to fix that if that's what their issue is, first and foremost. But the same engineers that would be looking at performance, on-track performance, are now looking at correlation issues, right? There are some different teams have different groups, but when I was at Aston and Racing Point and Force India, we had a pretty big APG group, which is an aero performance group, and they were the people that would look at correlation mainly, not so much development, but correlation. When I went to Alpine, I had like 3. And that was one of the things I thought to myself, not big enough. Mm-hmm. If you got perfect correlation, no problem. But if you wake up and you don't, and you only have 3 people in APG, you're going to struggle. Then what happens is just what I described. You get your aerodynamicists looking at correlation, and now they're not looking at making the car go faster. So it is a problem.
And tunnel time is spent, tunnel and simulation time, which is limited.
Limited, yeah.
Through the aerodynamic testing regulations, the ATR, you're only allowed so much. It's a mix of wind tunnel time and CFD time, computational fluid dynamics. And if you have to spend that on working out why your car isn't correlating on track rather than developing the car to be faster and faster, in technical terms, you're fucked.
Yeah. There's a lot of bleeping, or there's either a lot of bleeping or a lot of swearing by the time this episode goes out.
Yeah.
We'll find out which.
Yeah.
How long were you at Alpine for?
1.5 years.
I thought it was shorter. Did you sort of know it wasn't quite right from day one?
No.
No, it felt like it was the right move, and
Yeah. Finished 4th in the championship, beat McLaren by 3 points in the end. I helped them do that with improving the cadence of bringing floors to the car. Back then, 90% of the downforce came from the floor.
Yeah.
That's all you worked on. The wings were nothing, body work, nothing, floor. And when I got there, took them 14 weeks to make a floor.
14 weeks?
From the tunnel to the track.
Wow.
What do you think it should have been?
What, like a reasonable?
Yeah.
Like, not like crazy, like 8 weeks is like a reasonable cycle?
8 weeks is where we got to.
Right.
The quick teams were 6 and 7.
Yeah.
Red Bull was 6 weeks. But had we not gotten down to 8 weeks, had we stayed at 14, we wouldn't have beaten McLaren because we would have had at least 1 or 2 less iterations of that floor.
Yeah.
You don't put the downforce on, and then you're worse off. But I remember Seidel running over to me on the pit wall after the last race because it went down the last race in Abu Dhabi, and he shook my hand and he said, "Well done. It was a great fight, and you guys deserve 4th."
That's nice.
Yeah, it was really nice.
That is good. That is good when that happens. I've had that happen.
He absolutely did that.
Yeah.
Have you?
Yeah, it's good. It's good when people should be like respectful.
He was.
You know, it's absolutely that should be how Formula One is. You don't need the pantomime vitriol that's kind of crept in from certain quarters with the drive to survive. You don't need all of that shit. It's just, Formula One is hyper professional, right? When you're in the teams themselves, I just think, like, I don't know whether you agree with this, Otmar, but it's always a hyper professional environment, where there's a lot of respect. Yes, of course, you will, like, as the old saying goes, you'd sell your granny for half a tenth, right? But there has to be respect because there's no, there's no idiots in Formula One. There's no bad teams in Formula One is probably a better way.
There weren't.
That's what we're going to go here again.
Come on.
No, I don't want to
Aston
interrupt.
Martin. No. You talking Aston?
No.
Anyway, let's go back to Alpine. Let's big Otmar up. So 4th position.
4th, and when I left, we were 5th. 22.
And what was, and when you left, they were 5th. And then where did they finish? Where's been their finishing position since then?
6th and last.
6th and last.
And even that 6th was due to the fact that something happened in Brazil. I think they rolled the dice. They didn't pit. It was a rain race.
Oh, yeah.
Safety car pit under that was the one Verstappen won, and they finished really well. Otherwise, had that not happened, they would have been 8th. But it did. You can't say.
And I should know this. Did you quit or did you have a fallout?
It was a mutual split. Fallout.
Yeah. That's what we say when there's a fallout. And what was that about?
At the time, I didn't quite understand it. I was improving the team, recruited some fantastic people, ex-Red Bull guys, really, really good aerodynamicist, a fellow called Giles Wood. I don't know if you know him.
Yeah.
one of the best simulation guys in the world. He left Red Bull to go to Apple. And then when Apple decided not to do a car, he was coming back and I recruited him.
I didn't know Apple. What, design an F1 car?
No, a road car.
Road car.
Were Apple going to do a road car?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, they bought a simulator from Dynisma that was never delivered. Yeah, they were doing road cars. Google have a road car. Waymo.
Man. What, like a rival for Tesla type thing?
Have you ever been out of this room?
Do you all know that they were going to design a car? Apple.
Yeah.
How has that passed me by?
Don't worry.
I think you're lying.
It is. It's just made up.
Yeah.
So
Anyway.
yeah.
So hired some good people. Some of them ended up not coming because I departed. And then suddenly, Flavio's hired.
And Bat went on the same day, right?
Bat and I went together.
Alan Permain.
Yeah.
Why is his nickname Bat?
From what I understand, he used to work such late hours.
Is that true?
Yeah. Am I right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why.
I mean, he started so
Good
now,
guy.
so Alan. Now,
I enjoyed working with him for my year and a half. He sat to my left, and we.
And did that not hurt though when you? Is that the first time you've been sacked?
No. Second.
What was the first?
It's a good story. So I'm at British American Racing, youngest operations director in the pit lane. I was early 30s. Jag comes in and Ford buys Stewart Grand Prix, remember? And turns it into Jaguar Racing.
Mm-hmm.
Neil Ressler's running the program from Ford.
Yeah.
And through his relationship in IndyCar with Bobby Rahal.
When was that? 2000.
That was 2000.
Yeah.
98, 99, 2000.
Yeah.
2000. Hires Bobby Rahal as team principal. And Bobby comes over, but Bobby says, I'll do it. However, I have an IndyCar team that I need to run as well. So I can't compromise that, but I'll try to do both. And it was difficult because we raced on different sides of the Atlantic. So Bobby was going back and forth, IndyCar racing over there, spending time with his IndyCar team, then back here, racing here, also spending time at the factory. And he thought it was a good idea to have somebody permanently in this factory, like his right-hand man, that could always stay there. So he asked me through a friend if I wanted to join him as chief operating officer. I said, yeah, why not? Operations director at BAR. I'll move over. Chief operating officer had chief in it. Thought that's a little bit better.
More cash.
More cash.
Bigger house. Another bigger house. Or an even bigger house.
2 Jag cars.
Oh,
Well, I mean, that's okay.
who needs one when you can have two?
Yeah. Anyway, so I went. Well, I had my gardening leave to see out. It was in August on a Friday. Malcolm Osler's PA gets married, Linda Fisher. I'm at her wedding Friday afternoon. I get a phone call. Niki Lauda has just fired Bobby Rahal. And because you were hired by Bobby, don't come in on Monday. So this is Friday, my last gardening leave day.
Whoa.
I was due to start Monday, right? So there's only Saturday, Sunday. I'm getting ready to go to Jag as chief operating officer. Don't come in.
And that is why they call Formula One the Piranha Club.
Maybe.
So what did you do?
So I panicked.
You had a contract.
I had a contract. Panicked isn't the right word, but at that point, I'm in England only for 3 years on a work permit. If you don't have a job, you're out of the country. So my first thought was, well, I got to go back home to Detroit. And then I realized, like you said, I got a contract. So it took me till February to negotiate my way out of the contract. And I negotiated with James Allison's dad. Sir John Allison, on behalf of Niki Lauda.
And then I look on the internet today and it says Otmar Szafnauer is planning a return to Formula One. He has a group of serious people ready to finance a 12th team.
I keep hearing about these serious
And a car manufacturer in place that wants to join.
Who said all this? I didn't even do an
The
interview.
ex-Aston Martin Alpine F1 boss was at a business forum. And he's been working on proposals for a new Formula One team with the aim of being the first in the queue should a new tender process launch.
Who's the byline?
This is from The Race. The finances are in place.
I don't think he knows
So
anything
have you
about it.
launched a podcast with us and now you're basically trying to get out of it already? That's what that's the question I'm leading to.
I know. All questions are selfish.
I want to be prepared to be the successful bidder, it says here. So would you like to go back in and would you like to go in with your own team? And do you want to quit high performance racing after 3 episodes?
No.
Are they
He's not
mutually exclusive things?
No, you could do both.
You've
not
answered your own question. If the opportunity arises at the right level, I would do it. However, before I sign any contract, it will be in there that I get to continue the high performance racing podcast with you boys.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to be a big point of contention in your contract. We'll probably just let you do
Pat
it.
Simmons would write for F1 Racing while he was
Our
working.
neighbour.
Yeah, our neighbor.
Our Oxford neighbour.
Right. And there are other people that did the same while they're working, a bit of journalism here and there. I think this would be okay.
Good.
And if it isn't, there are better people at this than I am.
He was saying that.
Yeah, I knew.
Yeah, Rob was saying that. And
You know why I said it? Because I knew he was saying it.
I want to talk a little bit about...
Are we going to talk about this story or not?
What? Which one?
Are we going to drill our fellow podcaster
on whether he wants to...
On this consortium?
Let me
that's
read
put
it first.
together?
I can tell you what.
Are you putting a consortium together for a 12th F1 team?
I had done that for the 11th.
Yeah.
So they're already in place. It's just, the 11th now is Cadillac. This was after Cadillac was denied by Liberty, right? So the 11th team was still open. And then that all changed and that became the 11th. The 12th, there's one spot left by Concord Agreement and probably by other natural rules of how many garages there are, safety on track, all sorts of stuff. 12 seems right, 24 cars. You can't have 13, 14, 15 teams. So if there's one spot left, I believe Liberty will want, a big name to take that 12th spot such that whoever gets it will enhance the entire sport and series. That's what they care about.
Yeah.
So to put something like that together, we got to make sure that it's acceptable to Liberty.
We got a question, and by the way, thank you so much for your questions. Like after the first couple of episodes, so many questions coming in for the show, which I think is great. And Phil, C748, actually left us a message on YouTube. Thanks to everyone that's watched the show as well as listened. He said, why was all the Max talk about him going to Mercedes? Why is no one talking about McLaren? Surely it's more likely that Oscar would go to Red Bull, given his ties with Mark Webber. And I guess also with Giampiero moving across to McLaren in 2028, it maybe increases the chance of Max going to McLaren. So what do we think about Oscar to Red Bull, Max to McLaren? Is Phil C748 onto something?
These are all possibilities. Otmar said it last weekend. Not last weekend. You might have said this last weekend, but we weren't together. But he certainly said it when we were last in the studio. The best driver wants to go to the best team. So whoever the best team is, Max will want to be there. So yeah, of course it's a possibility. If McLaren is consistently and sustainably the best team, he might go there. What all the
best team with GP? Yes. Second best team with GP, best team without GP, I still think you go to the best team.
Yeah, 100% you do. 100% you do. He wouldn't. He's not going to choose to have a downgrade of teams, is he? For what? Give himself a bigger challenge. So, let's just say that Max, I think. Sorry, what's our question person called?
Phil.
Phil. Phil C167.
C748.
C748. Is
But
that
we'll
his,
go with Phil.
167's Phil's neighbor or brother.
yeah. Is that his CVC code, like his security code on his card?
Possibly.
Can Phil send Otmar and I so Otmar can buy even bigger houses, like the full, all his bank details as well as his CVC?
Yeah,
I will request
Anyway,
that.
Phil, like, just think about it like this. The kingmaker is Max, and he should be as well. So wherever Max goes to, like, let's just say there's a single ground truth in all of this. Max will want to go to the best team that gives him the best chance of continued success and multiple world championships. That will then start a whole cascade of dominoes, a domino effect of drivers moving about after that. But like to if we went through every single permutation, we'd be here a long time. So I think the ground truth is, let's wait and see what Max does, and then everything else will fall in behind.
Why wouldn't Max just stay at Red Bull? They bought that, what they call the Macarena wing for Miami. They said they've been working on it since November. I think that's cool in itself. That car looked almost as fast as any other car that weekend.
Mm-hmm.
He drove amazingly well. He knows the team. He seems happier there than he was midway through last season.
Mm-hmm.
If Red Bull get that car up to the speed of the Mercedes and the McLaren, why wouldn't you? Why are we constantly talking about Max leaving? Why wouldn't Max stay?
I think you're right. Best car, best driver again. That's a big if. Remember, we just said Mercedes are going to bring a big upgrade in Canada.
Yeah.
Let's see what happens. That gap might
Yep.
again increase. And I think, I could be wrong, there's more potential for improvement on the Red Bull Ford powertrain than there is on the Mercedes. I think
Gotta be
Mercedes are already up there.
Got to be right.
So there's that, and then there's the chassis side.
Yeah.
You know, when I went to interview Oscar Piastri last week, and I asked you both to send me a question. Your question was carefully considered, nicely thought out. I think if you got the question there, Will, this is what Rob wanted to know from Oscar Piastri. And when things are tense and difficult, who in the world of F1 can you lean on?
Mark, definitely. I think.
Oh, actually, I have a question about Mark. Do you mind if I play? This is from I don't know whether you know Rob or not, but we do an F1 podcast called High Performance Racing, and he had a question for you which relates to this. So
Yeah.
Hey Oscar, it's Rob Smedley. So the question I wanted to ask you was, what is it like getting managed off my old mate, Mark Webber? Is he a taskmaster? And how has your relationship changed with him since you came in as a rookie?
The relationship's good. Very thorough is Mark. I think, how's it changed? I think, when I first got into F1, I think Mark was, coming up with questions and ideas that literally hadn't even entered my brain. And I would hear him say it and go, how the hell did he think of that? Or how am I ever going to think of that? And I think just with experience, I'm still, we're always learning every day. But I think, now starting my fourth year, I have either the answers to a lot of those kind of questions that I wouldn't have had in the first couple of years, or I know the questions to keep asking, which just comes with experience. And I think, there's naturally less and less for Mark to do on a racing side of things, the more experienced I become. But I think especially in the first couple of years, just the kind of, there's some lessons you have to learn the hard way and there's no other way of doing it. But I'm sure there could have been plenty of other slightly annoying or tough lessons to learn that, I was probably spared because of Mark's experience and Mark's guidance. So, there's probably always going to be, situations or things that have gone smoothly or almost problems that weren't problems that I'm never going to know about because Mark managed them for me. So, I think that's probably how it's changed in the last few years.
what did you think of the answer? You were laughing when he said, when he talked about sort of Mark's intensity.
Yeah, Mark's a taskmaster. I asked it because when Oscar was a rookie and I used to see Mark in the paddock, he had obviously some choice words just about like, you know, stuff that Oscar was doing as a rookie, which wasn't like, you know, Oscar is
Fucking hell, mate. He fucked up. Yeah. I think we can all guess what the choice words were from Mark.
Yeah, and it just like made me laugh. But I did always think you couldn't have a better bloke on your side looking out for you, because Mark's like, you know, we know Mark.
Been there, done that.
Been there, done that, like massive amount of experience. So everything that he talked about there, like Oscar, when he said, you know, Mark noticed things that he didn't, is all he's explaining there. It was just experience, right?
Yeah.
Mark just like sees things and goes, oh, I know how I'm thinking 5 steps ahead, right? So
This happened to me, that happened to me.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want that to happen to you.
Yeah, so he would just get ahead of that. And then I think that, you know, Mark would be clearly, because that's just his personality, telling him, you know, absolutely where he is erring in very, very plain language, but on his side, helping him out, you know, doing it for his good. So I just, yeah, it was just an interesting answer. But what was Otmar's question then?
Do you remember it?
No.
Ask, I can't do it in your voice. Ask
Oscar.
Every driver wants to win the world championship. It looks like he'll be unable to do it at McLaren. Ooh. Would he ever consider leaving, and if so, when? I mean, I'm saying that's a punchier question than what you came up with.
Yeah.
No,
and what
not
did he
it
say?
looks like. I said,
I didn't ask him. I didn't ask him that.
not it looks like, if it looks like.
Yeah. But do you think it does look like that? Like, is that, you felt that last season?
So last season, like I said before, in the middle of the season, I thought he was going to win it.
Yeah.
After I put all my money on Lando, I thought, can I, like, just get some of my money back because I'm going to lose. And then Lando, and then it all turned good, right? So last season, I thought Oscar was going to win it mid-season.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's, in this season, like we said, it's too young. We're not even into the year yet. It's hard to predict, right?
Yeah.
So that's why that big if was in there.
Yeah.
You know, so if over time it kind of looks like I'm going to struggle to win the world championship to beat this guy, not necessarily 100% of the time. Like, for example, I always thought Lewis was going to beat Rosberg always. And there was a year where he didn't, you know, and yeah, Rosberg beat him and then he retired. You know, a similar thing could happen if Lando keeps winning, and then maybe Oscar will or not. But that's why the big if. If it looks like, would you then leave to go to another team so you got a chance at the world title? Because he is a great driver, but so is Lando. And I think they're pretty equal.
But you know what? That's a hard one for a driver, isn't it? Because let's say that McLaren, okay, they're catching up. Mercedes are in front at this point, but like last 2 years, they've been probably the best team.
Yep. Great.
And this year they'll be there or thereabouts. They're now to win world championships now. They were now to win multiple world championships on the bounce, constructors. So that's telling you that this is a team kind of, if it doesn't mess it up, that is entering its pomp, right? Then, like, so if you're a driver in that team and you're struggling against your teammate, and I'm going back now to my Ferrari days, what's the option for you? Do you leave and go to a worse team that actually has no chance of winning the world championship, but you might be the better driver in that team?
The number one there.
Yeah, the number one. I mean, I've seen that on many an occasion. I've seen drivers do that, and I've never seen it work out well. I've never seen it where the driver's been happier. Right?
Yeah, because there's two things that have to happen. That team you're going to, you're saying isn't the best team.
Yep.
You've got to be the number one driver there, which you know you could be, but then that team also has to ascend to being the best team.
Correct.
And those two things are a bit more rare.
Yeah.
You know, especially the team moving from third best to first, you know, because usually there's periods of 6-7 years of Mercedes or 4 or 5 years of Red Bull or whatever it was with Ferrari and Michael, and you know what I mean?
About 10.
Yeah, about 10.
Sorry.
Right. So in those 10 years, if you're the number 2 at Ferrari and you say, you know what, I want to be the number 1 somewhere else, you got 10 years of wherever you went, it's not the best team. So I think there's something to be said for that.
You know, last year, everyone had an opinion like McLaren are favouring Oscar, McLaren are favouring Lando, Papaya rules is a nonsense. I love Papaya rules. Let them race, don't let them race. Do you guys both believe that in that team it is totally fair? Like they will just allow their drivers from now to race, and whoever wins the world title is deserving of the world title? Or is there some favouritism towards the fact that Lando kind of came through the ranks, if you like, at McLaren and was like Zach's guy?
I'm not in the team, so I'm just telling you what I believe from the outside, so I could be wrong. But I think the fact that Mark is there helping Oscar kind of negates any type of tendency to look after Lando. I think Mark's in there to equalize that, so to speak. So I believe they're pretty equal.
But I think like all of these, like whatever you want to call them, and Papaya rules was like, that's why you should never let the marketeers get in the way of.
You know, I think they dropped it now. The team.
What the
when I was there
the words?
Yeah, when I was there the other day, someone said we won't talk about Papaya rules anymore. I think it's become almost like mockery. Do you know what I mean? Papaya rules. It like we now associate it with a period of confusion for everyone. So I don't think you'll hear it. I don't think you'll hear it.
So it's kind of like don't let like the branding experts get in the way of like the serious stuff, right?
Yeah.
I'm probably going to get hammered for that, but anyway, like just don't call it Papaya rules. They're just rules of engagement, right? McLaren has rules of engagement. Force India, Ferrari had them. Williams had them, right? I think with rules of engagement, it's very, very simple, right? If they are clear from the outset, when you sit there pre-season and you all agree as a senior management team and a senior group of people, including the drivers, that this is what's going to happen and this is how we're going to do this, right? Nobody has a problem. I've never been in a team where if people have a problem at that stage, you probably haven't got very good team players, right? The problem with rules of engagement is when there's 50% of the garage know about the rules of engagement and 50% of the garage don't. And then it becomes a big problem. Then you start to get into like we've seen blow-ups in various teams. Like probably the most famous one in recent history. I might be wrong about this. I know there's a bit between Mark and Seb.
Multi-21 Seb.
So there was a little bit of that, but I don't know whether that was...
That was more a driver ignoring what he knew.
That was more a driver, but I think there was definitely the Fernando and Lewis in 2007. Is that right? 2007, 2008? I can't remember. Those years around
07.
McLaren when it all kind of blew up. But that wasn't, to me, and as Otmar's comment about the modern day McLaren, he's not in the team. I wasn't in the team at the time, but like my observation was not everybody is, there's not clarity between everybody in that team. Because I think when there is, what's the problem, right? If he's team principal, I'm team principal, whoever it is, your team principal, and we're sat there saying, guys, this is what we're going to do and this is how we're going to do it. And this is a fair and equitable way of going racing, right? And this is what's best for this team. Not for you, Jake, not for me, Rob, not for you, Otmar, not for you, Fernando, not for you, driver X, whoever it is. This is the most fair and equitable way. This is the way we get the most points for this team, which will bring us all of the benefits that points do, championship positions. Who has a problem with that? Yeah. Unless
and
you are
championship positions for the team, constructors championship, is what brings the money in from Liberty, not where the driver finishes.
Like everything in life, it's about clarity and alignment.
Clarity and alignment. There you go.
Hey, we got another question from an audience member, Brian Benjamin. I've got a question for you, Rob.
Bri.
I've heard some classic Ferrari stories, like Alesi, how apt with the T-shirt, like Alesi and Berger flipping the boss's car at Maranello. Did you ever hear that one inside the team? By the time you were at Ferrari, it felt a lot more buttoned up. Was it really buttoned up behind the scenes?
Oh, I got a Ferrari story. Don't let me forget. Go ahead.
Is that does Brian think it was buttoned up because I was there? Am I getting this
No.
nuance correct?
I think he's basically saying by the time you were there, it became a bit more corporate.
Yeah,
and things
because
were a
I
bit
was
more
there. Is that
buttoned.
what you're saying?
No.
Let's get into this. Get Brian down here now.
Okay.
Right, okay, let's answer the question.
Did you hear the story of Alessi and Berger flipping the boss's car at Maranello?
I don't think they flipped the boss's car. I think they just flipped a car.
Brilliant.
And there was a...
What, on the track, on the test track?
in Fiorano.
In the car park.
And I think it was Jean driving it, which doesn't surprise me. And I love John at bits; he's a good mate. But that doesn't surprise me that back in his younger days, he would have probably been a little bit of a tear ass and driving it like he stole it, and maybe got a little bit wrong. But I don't think it was the boss's car.
Okay, good to know.
What's your Ferrari story on?
You literally said, I've got a great Ferrari story, don't let me forget. And I think you did then forget.
No, I didn't. I think it was Monza. So I wasn't there. Somebody told me the story. Gerhard Berger's driver, kind of looked after him, is leaving where Gerhard was staying, small hotel. He was on, I don't know, the second floor. Was locked out, couldn't get in. So Gerhard calls him, says, come back. I need you to help me get into my room. And it's 1:32 in the morning. Doors are locked, can't get a hold of the owners. And, this is at a time where the internet didn't exist, but cell phones were prevalent. So my friend goes back and he says, it's my room up there. It's okay. So they crawl up on the balcony. He and Gerhard both get up on the balcony outside this room. And they're like crowbar from the van. And they're trying to get the window open. Well, as they're trying to get the window open, the window smashes. And Gerhard looks, he said, it's not my room.
Honestly.
They had the wrong room. And the window smashed. It was Jean Todd's room.
No, was it? That's the one person whose room you do not want it to be.
No.
And Jean Todd thought somebody was breaking in because the window smashed in his hotel room. He went and locked himself in the bathroom.
And what does Gerhard do then? He's like,
Not my
John.
room. Not my room. Let's get out of here. We got to find my room.
did they just escape?
Yeah.
Does Jean even know until he heard it on this podcast that it was
No.
Gerhard breaking into his room?
He's going to learn now.
Oh my gosh. Look, we're coming to the end. I think we asked you to bring some memorabilia. I believe you did.
Yeah.
Let's see it.
Am I the only one bringing memorabilia? So I'm the only one who's doing these questions for Oscar.
No, I brought some.
Oh, all right, okay.
For the next episode. It's like one an episode.
Oh, I see.
Right, okay.
So next week.
I
next
got to
week-
bring it again?
Yeah, sorry, brother.
Jeez,
I'm
I
going
got that
to
massive
lean
thing all the way
behind
on
me.
the tube.
Did you take the tube? Did you get her on the tube?
Yeah.
Good.
Now, it's a Brazil shirt. Forget about what's written on it. It doesn't matter.
What does it say there?
It says it's
You've nicked that from someone. To Frankie.
well, Frankie is my son.
Okay.
And it says to Frankie, big kiss, Felipe Massa, 2008. Now, forget about that. That's
Yeah,
just that's nout. So I'm leaving. So in 2008 was the year that we should have, and bear in mind, I've got Brazil shirts from that kindly donated from Roberto Carlos and Kaká and all great Brazilian players who, I got to know over the years. And so I'm leaving it's the 2008 Brazilian Grand Prix, the one where Massa loses by a point. And this means a lot because this happened. I'm leaving the circuit and fairly despondent, but kind of like, yeah, whatever, like lost the world championship by a point to Lewis and but fairly philosophical by this point. It's like 3 hours after the end of the race, maybe 4 hours. So I'm leaving the circuit And as I get to the gates, you know, like you kind of go down under the bridge, don't you?
Yeah.
Under basically the pit lane. And then you kind of get to that bit, which is always a bit difficult getting out.
Gate 8.
Gate 8. There you go. Otmar's got a better memory than me. So we're waiting in traffic.
Turn right.
And all of a sudden, like I can see like this, there's usually like quite a lot of fans outside. And I'm sat in the front of the car and there's somebody driving it. And all the fans start to go a bit mental and start to like kind of swarm into the gate. And I think, it must be like Felipe or it must be like some Brazilian superstar or whatever. So I'm kind of sat there and they all swarm round like my car. And I'm like, fuck, we're going to get robbed, right? Now, bearing in mind, Sao Paulo circuit is essentially like side by side with a favela.
Yeah. And there was a lot of crime and robbery.
And there was a lot of crime.
Circuit, yeah.
So I've kind of like now gone and thought, and they've kind of just broken through the security and they're all now crowding round like the car that I'm in. And I'm thinking, no way, man, like why are they picking on us? Like we're going to get dragged out like of the car and they're going to get robbed and all the rest of it. And like there's probably like drivers in the queue up in front and I'm like, oh no, what's going to happen now? And there's this guy, so he starts knocking on the window and it's literally mobbed. It's like Shea Stadium, 1966, right? It's literally mobbed, and there's this guy knocking on the window, and I'm like, "Oh, don't hurt me!" and he starts to say, and he starts to like, he's speaking in Portuguese, but I hear him saying my name, and I'm like, "Oh, maybe he recognizes me," right? And I'm totally blown away by this. So like, I kind of put the window down like a crack, saying, "Yes, can I help you?" And he starts to explain. At this point, he's explained to me, and he's talking at 1,000,000 miles an hour. And now, like, people are on the bonnet, they're on the sunroof, they're like, and they're all over the place. And this guy's talking, and he's got this translator. And what he starts telling me is like, "Oh, Mr. Smedley, like, you know, you've given us like a new hero." Like, and they kind of like are somehow attributing like the little bit of work that I did to Felipe as like being part of that success. And they're like saying, "You've given us a new hero, you've made us believe, you know, it's like years since you've had this Brazilian driver." And basically, I don't know if it was the whole of the favela, but like all of these people around the car, and they said, we're local people, we live in the houses next door, the favela, right? And bless them, they'd all saved up their pennies, basically probably a penny each, to buy me this shirt and like pass it through the window. And it was just such a touching moment. I just thought, you know what I mean?
And then you had Felipe sign it.
And then I think I got him to sign it to
So they
my
were
son.
waiting for you.
So they were
for you.
They were waiting for me.
Wow.
And I thought they were
That's
gonna.
nice.
I thought I was gonna get dragged out the car and shot. They had a present for me.
I visited the favelas with Lewis Hamilton, and it was really interesting because when we went there, obviously normally like big security, and this guy that ran one of the kind of like the projects in the favelas, he's like, "Listen, do not bring loads of police and security. It doesn't go down well in the favelas. Don't do it." So we turn up with Lewis, and I think because McLaren, you know how they would operate, they would be like security. This guy then had to say like, "We can only do this if you get rid of the security." And the police basically left Lewis and I in the favelas with this one guy. We walked around, and this guy, he was just like the king. So people would obviously go, "Lewis Hamilton," he'd go away. And they would just go away. And other people would come through and go, "Yeah, you can come, you can." And we had this time, we went into this amazing project, and we saw working with these kids, playing musical instruments.
Love it.
And it was actually lovely that there wasn't like loads of security and people around.
Yeah.
It was literally me and Lewis in the favela seeing actually what was going on in that part of the world. And that, like, I remember that forever. That was...
So one time we're driving through, and with Felipe, and I think it was a Saturday night, we're going to his house, because he was always very kind to like throw a party for the whole team. And him and I left the circuit at the same time. So I'm in his car, and he was in the back. It was like, I can't remember, it was like, let's say it was a G-Wagon or something, but it's bulletproof. And his driver, big guy, and we're going through, and he turns off and he starts to drive through you come down the bank, and he goes left and starts to drive straight through the favelas, like doesn't go right down the bottom to get onto the highway bit. And I'm like, oh man, this is like a bit like sketchy, isn't it? Like, you sure about this? He pulls his coat back and he's got, do you remember Magnum PI with this thing, which is like about that long, the barrel? Like, he pulls it out. I was like, okay, thank you, put it back.
Getting even more sketchy right now.
Thank you.
Put a gun out.
It's very bumpy, put it back.
You know, the BBC, there was always two options. You could either go full security, bulletproof cars to drive to the circuit with security people, or you could do the opposite. The BBC did the opposite. They got us the cheapest possible hire car and said, don't wear your BBC outfits and don't have your passes on show.
Yeah.
And nothing will happen because of the car that you're driving in. Man, do you remember the queues?
Jill DeFerrin was the same.
Was he?
Yeah, lived in Sao Paulo. Always drove a beat up VW Passat, and with no indication that he was a racing car driver. Just looked like a Brazilian.
No attention.
He did that.
The passion at that place for Formula One. Oh my gosh. Right, we're pretty much out of time. Well, we can't finish without everyone's favourite part of this show, which is kind of disappointing in some ways because we have these great chats about F1 and all everyone wants is a crap dad joke. But we have them. Who wants to go first?
I got to ask a question first. I don't know why the difference, but in America, mathematics is abbreviated to math.
Yes.
Yep.
And in England, I've learned it's maths.
Yep.
So I don't know which, but.
That's a great joke.
No.
Is that the joke?
No, that is the joke. Why is it beneficial to always wear eyeglasses in math or maths class?
Why is it beneficial to always wear eyeglasses in math? I don't know.
Because it helps with division.
Fucking terrible.
It's good.
So the High Cardinal of Rome,
Strong start that.
of the Vatican,
start,
the Vatican's doing a tour of Britain, and he's going to meet all of these different archdeacons and archbishops. So he comes over and he meets the archbishop. He goes to Canterbury and he meets the Archbishop of Canterbury, who's obviously the leader of the church. And they go out for dinner on the night, and they go to the Archbishop of Canterbury's favourite restaurant, and the waiter comes over and he says, "What would you like?" And the High Cardinal of Rome says, "One bloody steak." And of course, the Archbishop of Canterbury says, "Well, I'm very, very sorry, Cardinal, but you can't use language like this in a restaurant." And he says, no, and he explains it. He says, "It's how I like my steak to be done." All right, so anyway, the steak comes and they get on with the meal. Next night, they go to Oxford, and he meets the Archbishop of Oxford. The Archbishop of Oxford takes him to his favourite restaurant. And he says, "What would you like?" The waiter comes over, "What would you like?" And he says, "One bloody steak." And he says, "Well, I'm sorry. It wouldn't be Your Highness, but whatever it is, like you can't use language like that in a restaurant in Oxford. It's just not correct." And he went, "No, I'm just telling him how I want my steak to." Anyway, the third night he goes up to Middlesbrough, and he meets the Archbishop of Middlesbrough. And the waiter comes over and he says, "What would you like?" And he says, "One bloody steak." And the Archbishop of Middlesbrough says, "And put some fucking chips on and all."
There's a theme with religious jokes for you. It was the nuns last week.
Catholic school, you see.
Yeah,
Good Catholic
there you
boy.
go. Did you hear about the farmer who had a bad harvest, so decided to make some music?
Is that the joke? Have I missed it? No.
He had a load of sick beats.
See, if you have to really think about it.
What does a baby computer call a daddy computer? Data. Is that bad?
Those are good. Those are good.
Oh my goodness.
So, because you had two, anyone know what you call a Bloody Mary with no alcohol?
Virgin Mary.
Virgin Mary.
Bloody shame.
And on that note, we shall go for a Bloody Mary round the corner.
Very good, boys.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Some great stories, great reflections, really fascinating as always. Thank you as well for enjoying the show. Please hit subscribe. It makes such a difference to us. Follow High Performance Racing on YouTube. Follow us on Instagram. Follow Otmar on Instagram. Follow Rob on Instagram. We need to up those. What is it, about 6,500 followers? You're lagging behind Otmar, so it's time to grow.
Yeah, but
that
he's
number.
a superstar, and I'm never on it. My Instagram, what do you call it? The things that appear. The things, the
Posts?
videos,
Yeah.
the posts,
Yeah.
which I think you do,
Yeah,
for me.
You do.
Somehow they
so-
appear. I don't know.
Yeah.
They've doubled my number of things.
That is a man who knows nothing about Instagram. Those things that appear have doubled my number of things. Ladies and gentlemen, engineer Rob Smedley. Thank you very much, guys.
Thank you.
Episode 3 of High
Thank you.
Performance Racing is done.